Ladies and gentlemen, it appears that there is another video on ZZZ and its HP inflation, and you can probably tell from frame one, boy oh boy, does this look like it's going to be a bit of a clash between, creators like me who are saying that HP inflation is becoming a problem, and creators like EO who are saying, yeah, this is just because you suck at the game. You just need to play better, bro. Who cares what the developers are doing? Just play better. And we've got, it looks like Average Luck Gamer in the middle. And I like that I'm seeing some data and some charts in the background, something that EO refuses to ever actually put in any of his videos when he talks about HP inflation not being a problem. And I'm excited to see where this conversation actually goes, because I've had a lot of creators, a lot of friends as well, saying that this is actually a banger base ed vid. So let's go ahead, let's see what we've got in store for us today and see whether or not we can agree with those takes.
That's not true because deadly assault, blah 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 blah. You need,
and we're saying that anyone saying that this is an issue is a stupid
This video is not for whales and dolphins, it's for you because you are just like me, Average Luck Gamer here, and today I want to talk about HP inflation in Zenless Zone Zero.
Okay.
Because at the moment there are two sides to the argument of HP inflation in Zenless Zone Zero, and side number one is saying that HP inflation is really bad, it makes the game really hard to clear right now, and side number two is saying that you just suck at the game and you need to get better.
Yeah, I think he summarized it pretty well.
Here's the thing. I think we're looking at this argument in a very black and white way, and I think the truth actually exists somewhere in between. And we'll talk about why HP inflation is here, why it's not going to go away, and what's actually going on in the game right now.
Okay.
So here we go. This is a graph that represents the HP in Shiyu defense for Shiyu 7, which is the highest floor of Shiyu defense over, since the start of the game up to basically now. And this is why we have to acknowledge that HP inflation itself is undeniably a thing that exists in
100%.
Zenless Zone Zero. And this is because HP started down here at 14 million HP, roughly speaking, and is now over 28 million HP for the enemies on floor 7 of Shiyu defense. Now, let me just talk through the reasons why this has happened, and it might start to make a little bit more sense.
I hope to God he mentions the existence of Hoshimi Miyabi, and additionally, maybe even Astra Yao too. I hope, because a lot of people will still deny to this day that a character that does twice as much damage as everybody else wasn't the reason for HP inflation.
But at the start of the game, the balance was clearly not correct. Everyone referred to the game as left-click simulator. It was incredibly easy, and it needed to change. So there was change. It kind of moved up, and then maybe they think that they corrected it too fast, and then it kind of moved back down, and then it starts to go up again. Now, something else that we need to talk about that happened quite early on at the start of the game is that we also had new drive disk sets introduced in 1.2, which also increased the potential damage output of our teams. Then same thing happened again in 1.4. We got more new drive disk sets, as well as the fact we had the decibel changes. So instead of just having one character being able to use an ultimate, we now had 3 characters being able to use an ultimate, which I think is honestly still something that they're balancing for right now, because they're not really sure how high they can push the HP because of the change to the way that decibel system works. And lastly, we did also get more drive disks in 1.6.
Bro hasn't mentioned Miyabi yet. I'm concerned.
So we've had a bunch of stuff kind of...
The points that he's making, though, specifically when it comes to the drive disk stuff, I wish he got a little bit deeper into them, because I'm not necessarily sure, like, how much stronger these drive disks are, right? Because he mentioned a lot of the new ones, like in version 1.2 and the new ones in 1.4, but like, actually seeing firsthand how much stronger the newer ones are.
Thrown at us, as well as new characters every single patch since the start of Zenless Zone Zero. And I'm not saying this to invalidate the opinion that the HP inflation is kind of aggressive right now. I agree. I do think that HP inflation is kind of aggressive right now. It is going up. It is going up pretty quickly. That's something that we should talk about. But it's kind of gone from being an easy game for everyone to being little bit harder for the people who are kind of halfway dedicated to building some of their characters. And the reason why I'm being so non-committal on that is that because you don't have to be super good at the game in order to enjoy it and play the endgame modes. You just kind of have to have a basic understanding of what you're doing. I do a lot of account help and account reviews, and the number of times that I go into people's accounts and they're like, I just don't know why my Chingy's not stunning that quickly. And they're not even running an impact on their disc 6. And if that doesn't mean anything to you, then it sounds like you might need some account help. Drop me a follow over on Twitch. But this HP inflation concern is not invalidating the opinion of someone who is concerned about the future of Zenless Zone Zero because of the way that this is currently going.
Nice plug, yeah.
And telling people that they're bad at the game and they need to get better isn't helping with the argument from the other side. HP inflation is aggressive, and pointing the fingers at players with perfect discs and flawless execution that are clearing with A ranks is just not helping anyone.
But look at my Billy team. Look at my Billy team that's able to clear after I spent 10 hours in the training mode to practice pixel perfect rotations. And I also have top 1% drive discs as well. See, HP inflation is not real because I play this game like my job.
Let's face it, the game has got harder, and that is by design. And let's also be clear as well that HP inflation is kind of the laziest way to implement a difficulty change in a game that is mostly time-based in terms of how much damage you're going to do. Because the higher you push that HP, the more spongy the enemies are going to be, and therefore the longer it's going to take for you to clear. But just quickly before we move on, this is your reminder that you probably aren't subscribed. Liking and subscribing is a great way to support creators like me on YouTube. You can also drop me a follow over on Twitch and join the Discord if you want.
Another plug. Damn, two within 1 minute.
I hang out with some cool chill peeps who just like talking about Zenless Zone Zero. So moving back on over to HP inflation, I think Hoyoverse right now are in a balancing act. And that balancing act is that they want to keep the player base that they've created around Zenless Zone Zero. And by continuously making the game ever so slightly harder with every update, they are doing that. They're going to keep them playing and pulling for better drive discs and pulling for new characters. But the problem is that how do they then onboard new players? Because that onboarding new player journey, when you come in from finishing the story and then jumping into endgame content, which is so far and above what you're capable of achieving, is a huge gap. And I think for me, I kind of hope that as we head into season 2, that we see maybe more new mechanics for bosses or interesting combat styles that kind of shake things up a little bit and prevent us from needing to push the HP up any higher.
I think it raises a great point. I think the point of view that I had on it was you already had all of these like semi-casual, casual players that were like barely clearing. And then you have the HP inflation come in and then make it impossible for them to clear unless, you know, they dramatically change something up. What about, yeah, all of the newer players that are now coming into this game? They have enough for like one limited unit. How are they clearing? How are they actually clearing all of those newer players? Are they just like completely shit out of luck until they like get like a couple of banners in a row where they're able to like get all the stuff that they need? We don't. I mean, this is the thing, right? What is going to incentivize you to keep playing the game when it feels like the end game is just not possible for you? Because of reasons outside of your control. Are you just gonna follow EO's advice and just learn how to play better? Like, what do you do legitimately?
Because if it does continue to go up, yeah, sure, we might keep the very engaged sections of the player base, but we're going to lose that more casual audience. And that is hugely important for a gacha game. They need to answer that question of how far can they push the players. And
well, I mean, clearly they're not fucking listening because that's what's supposed to be in 1.7. Yeah, you see that 32 million right there? You see that 32.6 million right there? That's what it's not in 1.7. That's what it's supposed to be in 2.0. 2.0, by the way, is the update that everyone is saying we need to wait for. That's the update that everyone is saying, oh, we gotta wait for this one to save the game. And so you can't be doom posting about HP inflation too much. You gotta wait until 2.0, bro. This is the biggest rise it's ever had, possibly in the history of the game in one patch. That's the 2.0 update. That's straight up that's a 4.6 million HP increase in one update. That might be the biggest one ever. They might be cooking. How? What? Unless they come out with like some bonus that's just every character does 50% more damage at a baseline. How do we know that? Because you literally have ZZZ creators who are uploading 2.0 content right now, and they have access to this information. You do realize there are early access guides out right now for like Ju Fu Fu and like Yi Zhuan, right? The videos are on YouTube. It's not even leaks at that point because ZZZ, that partnered ZZZ CCs are able to upload all that stuff. If you want to upload gameplay from the beta without being struck, you need to be in the program. And he literally does it. And so, yes, that's where these numbers are coming from.
Just to demonstrate my point as well, and this is like obviously just a snapshot, but just in terms of Twitch viewership, Zenless Zone Zero has been steadily dropping off since the December Miyabi update. Sure, yeah, it was pretty popular back in July, August when the game first launched. Then we had another peak back up in December again. And now
I think this is just further reinforcing the idea, right? That there are no new players coming to this game. There are no new players who want to engage with the current content in the game. And a big part of that likely has to be the fact that the end game is not approachable at all unless you're willing to be a sweaty grinder. Twitch metric for gacha. What are we even doing here? That's the most stupid argument. Why is it only a bad argument when the game is doing like when the game is performing like shit? Twitch metric doesn't represent anything for a gacha. Yeah, it does. Proof? What's the proof that it doesn't represent anything? There's no correlation between the active player and the Twitch viewer. Proof? Or are you just saying that for fun? As Ethan said, Nikkei had 300 viewers but makes a lot of money. Dumbasses. You realize that Nikkei never had viewers. We are literally looking at a game that on release had 13K and currently has 1/10 of that. There's a difference between a game that never had Twitch viewers in the first place and a game that had a fuck ton and then proceeded to drop down massively. Maybe it's boring to watch, or it's a combination of boring to watch, as well as nobody feels like playing the game anymore. And it doesn't ever grow viewers because it's an awful new player experience. I love how everyone's like, oh yeah, let's disregard the fact that the game used to regularly be at like 5-6K viewers. It's currently at 1.5K. Oh, that doesn't mean anything though. And you're comparing it to games like Nikkei and Lads, which never had viewers in the first place. There's a big difference between a game that never had viewers and a game that is literally at 1/4 or 1/10 of the viewers it used to have. What do you mean average? It's 1 month. Yes, it averaged that for the month, you fucking idiot. What? We're at the time of 5K viewers when they had the CC program competition. Oh, but I thought Twitch viewers didn't matter at all. Why would Zenless Zone Zero hold a Twitch competition to try to get a bunch of viewers in the category? Yeah, this guy's over here telling me that Twitch metrics mean nothing at all. So why would the company literally sponsor with thousands of dollars to try to get more viewers on Twitch? Oh, I guess it's actually kind of important. I guess it must be pretty important if the company is literally willing to spend thousands of dollars to get more viewers on Twitch. Yeah, they would only do that if there's a benefit, but we got geniuses over here saying that it literally means nothing. You want to know what a lot of people will do when they see a game like ZZZ drop off like this and it has 1K average viewers every single month? They're gonna think, damn, this game is fucking dead. Yeah, when they see a game that used to average on release, it was 13K, then it was 5K in some of the other patches, and they see it floating at 1K every day, you know what they think? The game is dead. Why would I join a game that's dying or dead? Why is ZZZ the newest Hoyo game and it literally has the lowest viewers out of every single Hoyo title? Oh, they must be fucking something up. There must be something wrong with the game. That is what every normal person thinks. And unfortunately, there's a sizable number of the population that will just say shit like Twitch metrics doesn't represent anything and then use an example of Nikkei or Lads. If you're comparing ZZZ to Nikkei or Lads, I'm gonna be honest, that's one of the dumbest fucking takes you can possibly make. It's so disingenuous, it's insane.
Now, since then, it's just been dropping off. In Season 2, I'd hope that this would go up quite a lot more again, which would be great to see for Zenless Zone Zero and for me as someone who loves Zenless Zone Zero and also enjoys playing it as well. So from this tiny snapshot, it does look to me that Zenless Zone Zero right now is bleeding engaged players, and we kind of need a way to recapture them. And if we start bringing people back in Season 2, and then they get to endgame, and we're, you know, at a projected idea of 32 million, let's say, in Season 2, yeah, we probably just lose them again. And that's a real balancing act and something that Hoyoverse has got to deal with. And to be clear, they have way more data than I do. They know how many players are going to be playing on the daily. They know how many players are checking in. It just seems that interest right now in Zenless Zone Zero is down, and I hope that if interest does peak back up again in Season 2, that they're able to keep those players. And
if those are your arguments, Genshin should be better than WoWa because it has more viewers. Who out there believes that WoWa has more players than Genshin? I don't... What? Everyone knows that Genshin has more players than WoWa. That's obvious. And so I'd imagine that a game that has more players will have more viewers of it. Yeah, we're not even talking about if a game is better or not. Yeah, we're talking about player count. The entire conversation has been about player count this entire time. And naturally, if people stop playing a game, they're also going to stop watching it. And believe me when I say ZZZ's player count has been dropping rapidly, that's why there's less people watching it. Because why would you watch a game that you quit? In what universe would you watch a game that you quit and stopped playing? This just fun. None of these takes, they don't make any sense.
honestly, to do that, those players have to be able to push into endgame a little bit. And to bring things...
This always happens when we talk about ZZZ, Ru, because the ZZZ community doesn't have a lot of members left. And every single person that defends the game needs to go overtime. They need to go overtime. And it becomes extremely clear they're doing too much when it comes to defending the game. Imagine if we were in the ZZZ category. Oh, God.
Things back to the elitism or you suck at the game argument. You probably don't. But these games are marathons and not sprints. And the number of times that I'll log into account and I'll just feel that the account just isn't quite ready to fully clear endgame. And it's not that there's anything wrong with your skill. It's just that a lot of your characters just aren't built out for that third team yet. It takes a...
Yep. And guess what? If there wasn't as much HP inflation, you'd probably be able to clear earlier. All this HP inflation does, this rampant HP inflation, is it raises the minimum level of investment that you need to clear the endgame dramatically, right? It used to be a lot lower, where even if you were like the most high-skilled player ever, you still need a baseline level of investment to be able to clear the content. And every single time the HP inflates, that baseline level of investment just gets higher and higher and higher. And that just means no matter how good you are at the game, how skilled you are, how much you grind your rotations and stuff, it will just take longer to do. And so, yeah, there's a huge new player disincentive that they're putting into this game, and they're doing it so early, it's ridiculous. So early, it's ridiculous.
A long time to build characters in Zenless Zone Zero, and maybe that is part of the problem, but it is a marathon. And if you built a character back in 1.0, 1.1, and now you're feeling their build is kind of lackluster, it might be that they now have new drive disks. It might be that you left placeholder disks back on them when you originally built them. So most of the time when I go in and I fix accounts, it's character build issues and team building issues that are responsible for people not being able to clear, or you just need a few more weeks of logging in and farming your chips or sending your battery charge on drives. Ultimately, though, the Zenless Zone Zero dev team have said that they're going to be making buffs in 2.0, and they also specifically said that they don't want to just needlessly inflate HP on enemies. But
yeah, they fucking lied. Yeah, though, these devs are fucking liars, bro. Hey. Hey, pull that chart back up. Hey, pull that fucking chart back up. Yeah, motherfucker, it's going out 4.6 million HP in one patch.
Actions speak louder than words. So we'll see what happens as we head into Season 2. And
oh, yeah.
Where I'm coming down on this whole thing is that, yes, HP inflation has been aggressive. There's not no reason for that. There are reasons for why the HP has gone up. It has maybe been a tad aggressive, though, but I think that's to kind of balance out the fact that everyone's saying that the game was easy, and now no one's really saying that anymore.
Yeah, because guess what? There's nobody playing the game anymore. So yeah, there are just less people talking about it in general.
But also, to be clear, you also don't suck at the game. It's normally just a very small knowledge gap or build gap or something. And could you potentially learn a tiny bit more about the way a particular buff works for your drive disks or something like that in order to just push you over the edge and get the clear? Yes, almost definitely. But it's not that you suck at the game in any way. Thank you very much for watching. As always, remember to like and subscribe.
Pretty based video overall. I think he actually gave probably one of the most neutral and nuanced takes on the matter. I think that his overview of the whole like new player experience part, the balancing act, and specifically the incredibly low viewership and engagement that this game is having across so many different outlets is, I mean, let's be honest here. It's a pretty damn good point. A pretty fucking good point. And as you can see from this chat, every single time I end up bringing up ZZZ on my stream, people just want to go ahead, permanently turn the blinders on, and say, nope, what you're saying doesn't mean anything. Nope, you're just wrong. You're just wrong. As the game proceeds to bleed more and more players every single patch, and the game also proceeds to HP inflate by at least 10% or more every single patch. It's just, you see the exact same things that happened in HSR happening to this game. And HSR is now one of the most unplayable games on the market unless you pull all the newest characters. And you're seeing the same exact stuff happen in ZZZ, and you're just like, nah, it's not the same. Nah, it's not a big deal. Nah, it doesn't mean anything. And now your next patch is coming up, version 2.0, that's supposed to save the game. And you're seeing 32 million HP. You're seeing 4.6 above 1.7, which is 101%. And now it's 32. It's a 4.6 million HP increase in one patch. And this is the update that people are telling me to wait for. So, like, what happens when this arrives? What are you gonna do then? What are you guys going to say? That it still doesn't matter? That it still doesn't mean anything? Let's be entirely real here. You have to be stupid to be making these arguments or willfully ignorant. And unfortunately, that's kind of like the main take I have to say about the ZZZ community, because holy moly. You're like the type of people that will receive a tsunami warning and you won't even think about evacuating until your house is underwater. That's genuinely what it seems like. That'll be my take on the entire matter. Again, I think it's a great vid. Let me know what you all think. Peace.